There's this battle we're all fighting, but it's not against someone or something out there. Nope. The real fight happens right inside our own heads. Today, we're calling it the interior battle. So let me ask you a question. What's the real secret to peak performance? I mean, we all want it, right? Whether you're an artist, an athlete, or an entrepreneur, we're all chasing that incredible feeling of being in the zone where everything just clicks. How do we get there?
Well, the usual advice sounds something like this, doesn't it? Just try harder. Focus more. Control every single little detail. The idea is that if you just tighten your grip and, force it, you can will the perfect outcome into existence.
But what if all of that is completely wrong? What if it's actually backward? The core idea we're digging into today is pretty radical. It says the real path to excellence, the key to our most brilliant work, is the exact opposite of holding on tighter. And that brings us to our first big idea. This super counterintuitive concept is right at the heart of our interior battle. It's something we can call the performance paradox.
Okay, check this out. Your best work happens not when you tighten your grip, but when you release it. Now hold on, this isn't about being passive or just giving up. Not at all. Releasing your grip means trusting all those thousands of hours of training you've already put in. It's about getting your anxious, overthinking mind out of the way so the part of you that's already prepared can just do its thing.
The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius actually had a word for what gets in our way. He called it hypolepsis. And it's basically all the judgments and assumptions we layer on top of reality. So the obstacle we're really fighting isn't the situation itself. It's our own internal story about the situation. He realized that the crush of circumstances, as he put it, actually comes from within. So if the obstacle is really internal, then we need to understand it, right? We need to give it a name. It's time to meet your inner enemy. The author Stephen Pressfield has the perfect name for this enemy. He calls it resistance. Think of it like this universal internal force that pushes back against anything that could possibly help us grow. And man, it is cunning, it's relentless, and really it's just fear wearing a super convincing, super comfortable disguise. So what does this resistance look like in real life? I bet some of these will sound familiar. Ever find yourself inventing a million little tasks just to feel busy while avoiding the one big important thing? Or how about sinking into that cozy, comfortable routine, what's been called a velvet rut, that stops you from taking on any real challenges? Or maybe you're great at planning to do the work, but never quite get around to doing it. Yep, that's resistance in action. And listen, the stakes here are really, really high. The Stoic philosopher Seneca had a pretty stark warning about this. He said that all this comfort, this stagnation, it's not a neutral place to be. For him, growth and life were basically the same thing. So the moment we stop growing, we don't just stand still. We actually start dying in a way. Okay, so how in the world do we fight back against something so sneaky and so powerful? Well, it all boils down to one simple, single choice, a real turning point in the battle. It's the decision to show up. Let me give you a really raw and powerful example. It's a story about soldiers fighting at night in Jerusalem. The entire military advance just stopped cold. The soldiers were literally frozen with fear, just staring at this one house where 6 of their friends had just been killed. You see, the enemy wasn't just in the house anymore. The enemy had become their own hesitation. And the lesson here is for all of us. The commander in that story had to go right to the front line to force a decision. And in our own lives, we have to be our own commander. We have to be just as ruthless with our own hesitation. We have to march ourselves to that point of attack and make the decision to act, no matter how scared we are. And this kind of discipline, it isn't just for a literal battlefield. It's for the creative ones, too. I mean, just think about the quiet heroism of someone like Toni Morrison. Her routine when she was writing her first novel was just an incredible act of will. She'd work a full day as an editor, commute home, cook dinner, put her kids to bed, and then she would sit down to write. She just decided to show up for the work, refusing every single reasonable excuse. Look, that level of commitment, that's not something you're just born with. Nope. It's something that has to be built day by day. And that process is all about forging your character. I love this distinction made by the soccer legend Carly Lloyd. She said talent, that's like your opening bid. It's what gets you in the game. But character, that discipline, that resilience you get from going through hard stuff, well, that's the closing argument. Talent gets you to the top, but character is what keeps you there. So, this totally reframes how we should look at difficult situations, doesn't it? Instead of running away from them, we can start to see their purpose. John Adams put it perfectly. Hardship is the furnace where character is forged. He said, great necessities call out great virtues. And that's exactly why the Stoics didn't just put up with adversity. They actually saw it as an opportunity.
Here's a great analogy for you. Think about golf. Nobody, and I mean nobody, plays a perfect round. The game isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's a game of managing your mistakes. The winner is almost never the person who hits the most perfect shots. It's the one who recovers from their bad shots the best. And honestly, that's just a perfect metaphor for life, isn't it? Okay, let's bring all this together. How do these pieces, releasing your grip, deciding to show up, forging your character, how do they all connect? Well, it all leads to the final goal, winning the interior battle. But here's the thing about winning this battle. It isn't about some trophy or a finish line you cross once. It's not a single event. Victory is a process. It's that quiet daily decision to face down resistance, to do the work that actually matters, and then to have the courage to trust yourself and just release the outcome. When Marcus Aurelius was at the end of his life, he wasn't writing down a list of his wins and losses. His very last instruction to himself was simply this: make your exit with grace. Think about that. It's such a profound shift in focus. It's not about what you accomplished, but about how you lived and how you left. So, as we wrap this all up, I want to leave you with one last question, inspired by that story of the soldiers. We all have a house that we're hesitating in front of, right? It might be a difficult project, a tough conversation, a big creative leap. So the question is, what house are you waiting to enter?